The WNBA is heating up, and not just on the court. A new controversy has erupted after a clip surfaced of Aya Wilson discussing what she called an unwritten Hooper rule about going at white players. She was responding to a question about the matchup between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and she laughed it off, saying it was never that deep. But her comments have sparked a firestorm, with many questioning the timing given the ongoing racial tensions in the league. Critics argue that if someone said the same about black players, there would be outrage. Wilson has also been criticized for her past comments about white privilege, particularly when she suggested that Kelsey Plum and Paige Bueckers understand their privilege as white players. She called it a compliment, but many saw it as dismissive of their talent. The conversation has reignited debates about race, privilege, and how players are treated based on their skin color. The clip of Wilson's comments quickly went viral, drawing reactions from across the sports world. Some defended her, saying she was simply speaking candidly about a reality that exists in basketball culture. Others condemned her, arguing that her words were divisive and inappropriate, especially at a time when the league is trying to grow its audience and promote unity. The debate intensified when commentators pointed out that if a white player had made similar remarks about black players, the backlash would have been immediate and severe. Wilson, who is widely regarded as one of the best players in the league, has found herself at the center of a controversy that she likely did not anticipate. Her past comments about white privilege, including a speech she gave to Kelsey Plum, have also resurfaced, adding fuel to the fire. In that speech, Wilson suggested that Plum understands her privilege as a white player, and that this understanding has contributed to her success. Plum quickly distanced herself from the conversation and later left the Las Vegas Aces. Meanwhile, Congress is not letting up on the WNBA. 11 GOP lawmakers, led by Texas Congressman August Pfluger, have sent a letter to Commissioner Kathy Engelbert demanding an investigation into what they call thug-like violence against Caitlin Clark. The letter specifically mentions that Clark has been hip-checked, poked in the eye, and struck in the throat during games, calling these incidents unacceptable and going far beyond routine physical play. The lawmakers argue that the league has failed to protect Clark and that her civil rights may have been violated, potentially warranting an investigation by the Department of Justice, the Department of Labor, or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Indiana Congressman Marlon Stutzman said the tipping point for him was when Alyssa Thomas drove her fist into Clark's throat and only received a one-game suspension. He also noted that Clark was sidelined with a back injury after the game, which he called sad, and a sign that the league is not doing enough to protect its biggest star. Commissioner Engelbert has been ducking interviews and avoiding questions about the controversy. She recently canceled a scheduled appearance on the Dan Patrick Show, and analysts are calling for her to be fired, saying she has run out of excuses. The pressure is mounting, and the league's handling of player safety is being scrutinized like never before. The Indiana Fever has distanced itself from the congressional letter, stating they were unaware of it and that neither the team nor Clark had interacted with the group. However, the team has reiterated its commitment to player safety and its ongoing dialogue with the league on the issue. Fever coach Stephanie White has been an ardent defender of Clark, angrily pointing out no calls and what she called cheap shots. After a game in which Clark took a fist to the throat and was undercut on a three-pointer, White said, "We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had two cheap shots right there that weren't called. Absolutely unacceptable." She also called the fist to the throat crazy and dangerous. The debate has divided fans and analysts. Some argue that physical play is part of the WNBA and that Clark is simply being treated like any other star. Others believe the league is enabling a culture of jealousy and resentment toward Clark, who has brought unprecedented attention and revenue to the league. Former WNBA star Katie Douglas said Clark often plays with a target on her back and called the lawmakers' effort helpful. She noted that consistency in officiating is what everyone is asking for, regardless of the player. Clark herself has acknowledged the difficulty of navigating the attention, saying, "I think sometimes people think I'm a robot. I'm not a robot. It can be really frustrating to me at times. I'm 24 years old, trying to navigate a lot." She has also condemned threats against other players, saying, "The harassment, the hate, none of that is okay. That goes for the opposing team we play. That goes for my teammates. That goes for my coaches. As the season continues, one question remains. Will the WNBA take action to protect its players, or will the controversy continue to grow? The league has established an officiating task force to better regulate physicality, which has led to an increase in foul calls this season. The WNBA has also invested in security upgrades and launched a No Space for Hate platform. However, critics argue that more needs to be done to ensure consistency in officiating and to protect players from dangerous plays. The congressional letter has put the league on notice, and the pressure is mounting for Commissioner Engelbert to respond. The debate over race, privilege, and fairness in the WNBA is far from over, and as long as Caitlin Clark continues to be a target, the spotlight will remain on the league and its leadership. The situation has also sparked a broader conversation about the treatment of white players in predominantly black leagues. Some have pointed out that this is not a new phenomenon, citing examples from the NBA and other sports where white players have been targeted or subjected to extra physicality. Others argue that the WNBA's issues are unique because of the league's smaller size and the intense scrutiny that comes with being a high-profile player like Clark. The league's leadership has been criticized for not doing enough to address the issue, and many are calling for a more proactive approach to player safety. The involvement of Congress has added a new layer of complexity to the situation, and it remains to be seen how the league will respond to the pressure. As the debate rages on, one thing is clear. The WNBA is at a crossroads. The league has made significant strides in recent years, with increased viewership, sponsorship deals, and mainstream attention. But the controversies surrounding player safety, race, and privilege threaten to undermine that progress. The league must decide whether it will take a stand to protect its players and promote a culture of respect and fairness, or whether it will continue to allow the status quo to persist. The answer to that question will have far-reaching implications for the future of the WNBA and for women's sports as a whole. The conversation is far from over, and as the season continues, all eyes will be on the league and its leadership to see how they respond. While Wilson's comments have dominated headlines, the controversy doesn't stop there. Congress has stepped into the fray, with a group of Republican lawmakers demanding an investigation into what they describe as a pattern of thug-like violence against Caitlin Clark. The letter to Commissioner Kathy Engelbert cites multiple incidents where Clark was hip-checked, poked in the eye, and struck in the throat, arguing that the league has failed to protect its biggest star. The lawmakers have called for a federal investigation, raising the stakes and putting the WNBA under unprecedented scrutiny. Commissioner Engelbert has been noticeably silent, canceling interviews and avoiding the press, which has only intensified the criticism. Many are calling for her resignation, arguing that she has lost control of the narrative and failed to protect her players. On the court, the debate over player safety has become a flashpoint. Fever coach Stephanie White has been one of Clark's most vocal defenders, calling out the dangerous plays and unacceptable no-calls that have left her star player vulnerable. Former players and analysts have weighed in, with some arguing that the physicality is just part of the game, while others believe the league is allowing a culture of resentment to fester. Clark herself has spoken out, acknowledging the frustration of being treated differently, but also condemning the threats and harassment directed at other players. "I'm not a robot," she said. "It can be really frustrating. I'm 24 years old, trying to navigate a lot." Off the court, the controversy has exposed deeper tensions within the league. The WNBA has long prided itself on being a champion of social justice and equality, but these incidents have raised uncomfortable questions about how those values are applied in practice. Some have called for the league to do more to educate players and officials about implicit bias, while others argue that the focus on race and privilege is detracting from the real issue of player safety. The involvement of Congress has added a new layer of complexity, with some applauding the oversight and others warning against government interference in sports. As the season continues, the league is at a crossroads. The WNBA has made significant strides in recent years, with record viewership and growing mainstream attention. But the controversies surrounding race, privilege, and player safety threaten to undermine that progress. The league must decide whether it will take a stand to protect its players and promote a culture of respect, or whether it will continue to allow the status quo to persist. One thing is certain. The spotlight on the WNBA has never been brighter. The decisions made in the coming months will shape the future of the league and set a precedent for how women's sports handle the intersection of competition, culture, and politics. The conversation is far from over, and as the debate continues, all eyes will remain on the WNBA and its leadership. The question is, will they rise to the challenge, or will they be overwhelmed by it?